Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Avatar news update video. So in this one we have San Diego Comic-Con scheduling information. The full schedule for the con has gone up. We do have some Avatar panels, but it's not quite what we expected. So this is interesting to go through. So there's actually a full press release to go along with this. It's not just like the two panels were announced via the schedule. There's a bit more to it. I'll actually start with just what's on the schedule. So first of all, both the panels are on Thursday, July 24th, meaning we're 2 weeks away from these. So the first one here is at 10 to 11, Ballroom 20. This is the Nickelodeon Avatar The Last Airbender 20th anniversary panel. Pretty generic description. It's celebrating Avatar The Last Airbender's 20th anniversary, which again is this year. Technically it was, February this year, but they're trying to promote it as an entire year-long celebration of the 20th year of Avatar as a franchise and just the show in general. Legacy of the Avatarverse, original voice cast members and creators will celebrate one of the most beloved animated series of all time. So the creators are going to be there. So that's the notable thing about this panel. Mike and Brian are going to be there. It is in essence the podcast panel, but they're framing it more just broadly as the 20th anniversary panel rather than specifically as a podcast panel. We'll get back to talk about what might or might not happen at this in a second. The second panel is a merch focused panel. The Merch Nation Avatar The Last Airbender's toys, games and action figures. Thursday, this time 1 to 2 p.m. Nick and its Avatar toy partners give a preview of the all-new toy and games lines launching this year, plus a reveal of what's on shelves for the holiday season and other surprises, trivia and so on. Now, obviously Jazzwares is going to be the big focus here because they have a full-on toy line, as in like it's not just action figures, it's action figures and cosplay items and this and this and this. They have the whole Avatar toy license. But they're also highlighting like other toy partners and games lines, whatever that means. The other more notable merchandise thing coming out this year is, of course, Avatar Magic the Gathering. Now, we'll get to it in a second. They have a promo card that will be given away on the show floor, but that information is beginning to come out. They might show stuff about that here because that's a huge merchandise thing for Avatar. I think a lot of people who are maybe not into TCGs or Magic might not think that's a huge thing, but it's absolutely massive that Avatar is getting a Magic the Gathering whole wave of products. So that will probably be a focus here to a certain extent. I understand like Wizards will have their own stuff going on, and the more preview season for Avatar won't be for a few months after this, but they'll want to highlight it here as well. But yeah, just on the toy stuff here, because we can kind of focus on this here and we don't really need to address it elsewhere. Obviously, this was going to be a focus here because by the time we get to New York Comic-Con, the toy line's basically going to be out because it's launching in the fall. So this is their opportunity to preview the toy line. We know roughly what it's going to be in terms of like there's going to be the collector line with a lot high articulation. There's going to be the gimmick figure line and a couple of blind box figure lines plus plushes and cosplay items. But we don't know like say like wave makeups, like how many characters are in the first wave of each of these lines. Will they cover all that? Will there be details on like when exactly pre-orders for the full lines are going to go up? And then yeah, what do they mean by games lines? And apart from Jazzwares, what other companies are actually going to be here at this? Because a lot of the companies who've done Avatar stuff in the past have been a little bit like inconsistent. They do stuff, then they're kind of gone for a while, then they do other stuff. So who's going to be here? It doesn't seem like this is really at all related to publishing. So if there is any publishing stuff, I'm guessing they'll throw it into this panel. Just because they have done that in the past. They've made some comic announcements at the kind of main panel before. But yeah, like let's talk about that now. Just the absence of a publishing panel. It's very odd because I think the build-up for... They usually do a panel at Comic-Con, both Comic-Cons. We kind of need publishing announcements, like Dark Horse need to announce some stuff. Now, they could wait until New York Comic-Con, and I'm guessing that with it maybe not being here, if there isn't any publishing news out of this event, I'm guessing New York Comic-Con will be where they do it, and it will be part more of a, here's our 2026 lineup of books. Now, admittedly, by the time we get there, we'll probably know quite a bit into the year what the lineup is, but I suppose for late 2026. So the stuff that will be hitting around the time the movie actually launches, that might be what they do. Really make a big deal out of publishing a year out just to highlight what they're doing. That's my guess about maybe why why they maybe don't want to have a publishing panel now, because it might be just a little bit early. But at the same time, you do need to announce books that I think are unrelated to the movie now. Like Dark Horse don't have anything. Abrams, your first time with 2 novels. Are you really going to skip out on that? Feels kind of harsh on City of Echoes that it might not kind of get its chance in the spotlight, but we'll see what happens. I'm guessing that book will be available to buy on the show floor, just because it's out that week, basically. But we'll see what happens. They might roll it into all this stuff, but again, there's no space for anyone related to the publishing necessarily on the panel, so that is an odd one. That has me a bit confused. The only thing, like I said, that I'm thinking is just that New York Comic Con is typically the more comic publishing focused event, more so than San Diego, and because of Avatar they're making a big deal about it. Maybe they just didn't want to do 3 panels. And so publishing will be covered that time out, and we might not have the merch panel or something like that. That's my guess, but it's still a little bit like that's super unexpected and in a bad way. But we'll see what happens, because the merch panel could be interesting if there's any coverage of it, of course. But let's cover the press release, because it has a bit more information highlighting that, hey, Nick did a whole press release about their Comic-Con stuff. They're actually going in on it. This is different than other years when a lot of times the panels would just be announced as like, yeah, the schedule's out, there's a podcast panel, a publishing panel. Oh, and like we have one exclusive item. In this case, no, it's like, hey, we have a 1,800 square foot booth, and look at all this stuff we're doing, all these activations and so on. We've got our big anniversary panel here, which has Zach Tyler Eisen, Jack DeSena, Michaela Murphy, Jenny Kwan, Dante Bosco, D. Bradley Baker, Jeremy Zuckerman, Brian Konecko, Mike DiMartino, and moderated by Janet Varney, so it's basically a publishing panel because a podcast panel because of that. But yeah, Mike and Brian are here, and that makes it feel a little bit different, because especially in recent years, they have not been at many or really any of these panels all that much. So especially in recent years, like post-Avatar Studios, they have been very careful about when they make public appearances in relation to Avatar. And the fact that they're here, to me, makes this feel a little bit more impactful. But it completely depends on what they're going to talk about at this thing. Because if this is just talking about ATLA again, reflecting on ATLA again, I get it's the anniversary, we want to do that, but the amount of interviews we've had with Mike and Brian and all of these voice actors about their experience on the show, it's been kind of crazy. So I don't really feel like if they do focus this entirely on the legacy of ATLA just by itself, that doesn't sound interesting to me. Like, how are you going to say anything kind of new or unique about it? And so to me, the only unique angle on this as like a big panel is if you talk about ATLA a little bit, talk about the show's legacy, it's so popular, highlighted by the fact that we're doing new stuff going into the future. If there's not at least a small section of this that at least talks to that panel room about the future, about just stuff as simple as Mike and Brian getting on those microphones and just telling the room, Ang movie, calling it by name, them saying the date of the movie and just saying something about it. Maybe they have something to show off. That's cool if they're able to do something like that. The same goes for Seven Havens. The fact that has been officially announced, talk about it, because that's the big problem with Mike and Brian recent appearances on podcasts and stuff like that, is that they have refused to even talk about information that is out there official and publicly. Not leaked information, but just absolutely it's out there publicly. The fact that I think as we go through this, they do mention the movie a few times, gives me at least some hope that they'll do something along those lines. They'll put something out there maybe for the fans that makes this somewhat interesting about the movie. The negative here perhaps is just that the movie's still a long time away. It's out October next year. We're not even a year to go yet. When we get to New York Comic Con, will be a year to go. Maybe then it's a little bit more on the table. But at the same time, it is a big SDCC. You're probably going to have a lot of attention on Avatar because they're already promoting the 20th anniversary. I think you should say something. But we'll see. Because that's the way I view this panel, is that like it's either going to be interesting because they have some sort of a news to say about the Avatar Studios projects, or it's going to be just completely dull. It might be a little bit more interesting if maybe the publishing panel is rolled into this and they have some announcements to make in that regard. Otherwise, like, yeah, City of Echoes is out that week. The Book 2 soundtrack is out that week as well. They are things they can talk about as well. There are stuff from the anniversary press release that still needs to happen, like, say, announcing the Chibi YouTube series. That could be something they maybe talk about here, if that's meant to be this year. But yeah, there is stuff like, you know, the comic miniseries needs to be announced. I'm not sure. It's confusing. I don't know really what to make of this one. It feels like this is going to very much be a 0 or like 100 panel. I don't know what else there's really going to be. Other stuff. Most of this is for people attending. Like, it's not really going to impact people who aren't attending. But you can see there's going to be all these photo opportunities, GIF activations. I don't know what they really mean by this. 9-foot tall APA, snap a photo, you get a printed photo. Cool for people attending. AR stuff. There's a chance for you to get Cabbage Merchant tote bags and recipe cards. This is interesting. Mention of the movie. Customized baseball t-shirt and tote station. So you can purchase a t-shirt, tote bag, personalize it on the spot with characters and art from various things from Avatar and Paramount. And you can see ATLA, TMNT, SpongeBob, blah, blah, blah. Legend of Aang: The Last Airbender. You can actually get merch that has movie stuff on it. Now look, at the moment, my guess is that this will be, you can put the logo, the revealed logo for the movie, on a t-shirt or a tote bag. But I think simply the fact that they are going to maybe have that there is a step in the right direction, in that it means that, like, they are no longer treating the movie as this, like, secret thing that, like, we all know you know about it, but we're not going to talk about it. Which makes me feel like maybe Mike O'Brien might actually say something for the first time about this, just because, you know, by the time we get to the panel, there might be people wearing t-shirts of the movie in the room. Now, will there actually be other stuff other than the logo? This all depends on how they go about doing the marketing. I don't think it's like a 0% thing that there's maybe some sort of a early teaser poster or something like that, that there's just some image that's maybe the Aang design from the movie that they might want to put out here just to kind of promote the movie a little bit so people know what it is. I think that's a good thing to do. Because right now, even though the movie's been officially announced with a logo, there's still, like, until you put out a visual, doesn't feel real to people. Some sort of choose your nation thing where you can pick water, earth, fire, air, or just general ATLA. There will be autograph signings with the various attendees. Costumed appearances, retail stuff where you can pick up exclusive figures, collectibles, and all this sort of stuff. Giveaways. Outdoor activations. So this is interesting. Magic the Gathering Cross Avatar is going to have a photo op with a Cabbage Merchant, a special Katara promo card. So that is a new card we won't have seen before this event. So that's cool. We'll get to see, I guess, our second Avatar Magic card. That's cool. Oversized giveaway bag with a recipe card from the baking book. That's an interesting promo that they're going in on the baking book, but it is what it is. Here's the Avatar 20th anniversary logo. Nice little update here. Cool that we have it. They're actually trying to make something out of this. And then, yeah, here's what Avatar is. They highlight how popular the extra material has been. Books, comics, the concert and stuff like that. Then a mention of the movie. And this is nice to have as at the end of a press release. The new animated feature, Legend of Aang: The Last Airbender, will be released by Paramount on October 9th, 2026, directed by Lara Montgomery, co-directed by Will Mata. The movie catches up with Aang as a young man years after the events of the series. If this is a direct quote from whatever press release they were given, which I think it usually is with Animation Magazine, which is what I'm sourcing this from right now, that is a kind of new one-line description of the movie. It's not really anything of substance because we've known exactly that that's what it is. But it's nice to just have that, to be like, yeah, this is what we're doing. It is years after the events of the original series. And this is why, it would be pretty helpful if they did put out some sort of a basic early visual just to get that across in people's minds that this is what it is. So that kind of brings the video to a close. It's an interesting lineup of information. It seems like if you are attending the event, there's going to be some Avatar stuff going on in terms of like merch to get. The fact that they are promoting the merchandise line and stuff like that quite well is very cool. But definitely I have some questions about the fact that publishing just does not seem to be mentioned at all. Given that publishing has been like the focus of Comic-Cons for like the last like 5+ years for Avatar, it is weird to see it go from like everything to nothing. Maybe they'll throw it in somewhere, but it is odd to see no mention of it really. And then this panel could be everything, could be nothing. I think what I'm holding out hope for is just that they throw us a bone as a fandom. They just, because Mike and Brian are going to be there publicly in front of fans for like the first time in forever, the hope would be just that they actually speak openly and honestly about Avatar Studios. Whether that means there's actually new information or what, I'm not sure. It would be cool for them to just even say that our first two projects are Legend of Aang: The Last Airbender movie in October and Seven Havens, the series, in 2027. And maybe just something else. Like some sort of a tidbit that's new would be nice to get. But yeah, if they don't do any sort of a teaser and there's no publishing news as part of this and they just literally do a reflection on ATLA, I'm not sure why this is exciting, like in any way, as a fan. Like, I'm sure for your more maybe kind of casual fans who like Avatar, who attend these events, but they're maybe not the most super hardcore fans, it's a cool thing just because you get to be in the room with all these kind of people who are involved in the show. But like, really, as the main event panel, like they're promoting it as a kind of look back on the show, as if that's not what Avatar Comic-Con has been for like the last 20 years basically. And that's why I think the new stuff probably should be somewhere there on the table, but we'll see what happens. So in the comments, let me know what your thoughts are on the Comic-Con lineup for Avatar for 2025. Do you have any hope for this 20th anniversary panel? What do you think they're going to show at the merchandise panel? And what do you think is going on with publishing here? Are they saving everything for New York Comic Con, or will they wrap it into like this panel or something? Let me know, because I definitely feel a little bit confused and not expecting this at all. Because if you go back to my speculation video for Comic Con, it was like 90% publishing information that like is what I'm expecting. And publishing is like 0% of what's actually mentioned here. So very weird in that regard. Let me know what you think in the comments below. But yeah, that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.